the sum of all my past experiences, the environments, the thoughts, how that turned into patterns, turned into actions, and how I subconsciously just created an identity around, I'm not worthy of being a leader. I'm not worthy of affection. I'm not a great speaker. I don't know how to tell my story. Like it's just realizing that that's just an identity that I've, created, like up until this point.
That was Antonie Ng, and this is the Raw with Ollie McNicol podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Raw with Ollie McNicol. Sweet. All right, let's try that again. Antonie, thank you so much for being here, brother. After all that, I'm so glad we're finally getting into it. Tell the world who Antonie is, what you're doing. Just give us a rundown, man. Who are you?
First of all, thanks for having me on the podcast, Ollie. It's an honor. I've been really pumped to get on this for a long time. So yeah, honor's all mine. Who am I? I guess Antonie is he's a curious human being at heart. He's always loved exploring, being creative, as well as slowly leaning into his more sensitive, softer side. I think he's just all around curious, lover, sensitive sort of guy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know that. What about what you do, man? What are you doing right now? What have you been doing in the last, let's go 12 months.
12 months.
And what is it that you're doing right now?
Cool. So rewinding to 12 months, I started a creative agency with a good friend of mine. So he was a videographer. I was in the digital marketing space doing like managing social media accounts. So we sort of combined two forces. And yeah, we ended up doing quite a lot of video work. So doing like social media videos for businesses to post on their Instagram pages, stuff like that. And that gradually turned into a lot of real estate work. So we sort of essentially became a real estate video agency. And then also last year during COVID, we sort of pivoted and did a lot more branding work. So that's when I first got exposed to the idea of like what makes up a person, what makes up a personal business brand, core values, which is very relevant to my life right now because I'm slowly starting to, really embody and discover what my core values are. So that was really great. And fast forwarding to now, I just recently left the agency to pursue to pursue or discover the next phase of my life, going into what I really want to do, how I want to leave an impact on the people around me, on the world. So hence why I'm here on this podcast talking to you, Ollie.
I feel like I can't even go on without asking the question, what impact do you want to have? I feel like if I was to just leave that there now, I just wouldn't be right. So let's just go straight into it. What impact do you want to have?
Great question. And it's good that you asked that because I have probably been thinking on this topic for the longest time compared to like all the other years before this. So I guess the impact I want to have on the world is essentially to create more independent learners, more heart-centered individuals who also want to leave an impact on the world and I guess lead their own lives through their own experiences, their expertise, and really be open to sharing their vulnerabilities. And I think it's a world where, people young and old can wake up and feel like there's meaning, like they have a direction on what they want to do. Yeah, and just being really open to the world. I think vulnerability, it's a big buzzword at the moment, but like it's a big opportunity to be 100% yourself. And I think if more of us can sort of lean into that side, yeah, I think the world would be in a much better place. Yeah.
What is your response? What would be your response to someone saying, well, what does it matter? What does it matter to even try to do these big things? What would be your response to someone saying, what's the point and why does it matter to be your best self and be your highest self?
Yeah, great question. It's funny because I was that person asking those questions. Like leaving high school, entering adulthood, you've got the lens of maturity on, and you're sort of just like, all right, what now? And you sort of really start to ask questions within yourself, and you're like, yeah, like does my life even have a meaning? So yeah, I did ask those questions a lot. And why it's important, I guess, well, it's not a matter of luck, or it's not a coincidence that we're all on this planet at this point in time. Like we all sort of have, a soul's purpose, which is a big topic that we've been speaking a lot on. Like we all play a very important role, whether it's, being in business, being a loving father, being a great friend, or even, experiencing high levels of adversity, having the day-to-day challenges of your life. I think just becoming aware and realizing that, we all sort of have a purpose on this planet to affect one person, many people. Yeah, just having that realization.
Yeah, that I agree. That's awesome. I feel like that's the biggest thing. It's and I've been there as well, caught in that like that chaos of like, what does it matter and how much does it actually matter that I try to do these things that I think are going to have such an awesome effect on the world. And it's only for me in the last few years that I've realized it matters because of the ripple effect. Like every single thing we do has a consequence, has the ripple effect isn't just from the positive and the great things we do, is from every single action. So yeah, I totally agree on that. It's I feel like there's the life you live when it's just like, oh yeah, life is just doing random shit. Life is just getting by. And then there's another life that you step into where it's like, oh, it matters. It matters what I'm doing here. I can't just be sitting around and talking shit about people. I should embody my higher self, also figure out what that looks like, and then create this powerful ripple effect, because it matters, not for now, not for like 10 years, but for forever, for eternity. What we do now is so important. Hey.
Yeah, 100%. And funny that you say that, because I feel like I am entering that second life, or like that third phase of my life, where it's like you're sort of living unconsciously. You're just having fun being like a child, and then you sort of start to get that little bit of awareness growing up. You realize you have emotions and feelings. You start to like suppress that a bit, and then you step into that more. You put on that more mature lens, and you go, okay, all right, what am I really here to do? Am I gonna just be living like this for the rest of my life, or do I actually want to, actually step up and be the person that deep down I truly believe I can be? Yeah.
This is awesome. This is the best podcast ever. I've, as I was saying to you before, they've come a long way. I've come a long way, and the conversations that I have with people have come a long way from those previous podcasts. So I felt it was really necessary. I only just made a new album cover, like podcast cover, last night. and just putting it together, I'm feeling the whole what we're talking about, like that stepping into that new phase, that new life. I'm feeling it all right now. So this is just awesome. I'm loving it.
I'm feeling it too, bro. I'm loving it. All right. What's the logo? Is that an eagle or a hawk?
Oh, thanks for asking. It's actually a raven.
It's a raven. Okay.
Yeah, which Australians think is so in Australia, right? You see those all black birds, and we just think of them as crows, right?
Yeah.
You know the ones, yeah. And apparently
Yeah.
they're not. They're actually ravens.
They're
Yeah.
as in
so
like
those,
ravens in Game of Thrones. Those sort of ravens.
exactly. Yeah, they're apparently Australian
Oh.
ravens. Like if you look up crows on Google Images, if you just look up photos of crows, it's completely different to the ravens that we see out, in the streets. It's it's strange. They're in like the same sort of family. I forgot the word. There's a family. I want to find it. Like they're part of the same family, but they are very different. They have very distinct differences. Let's have a look. Crow, raven, family. And then I'll tell you about the meaning.
So there's a good chance that all along I've been looking at more ravens than crows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ah.
Yeah. Same family. All right. I don't want to butcher the pronunciation.
I think your listeners are going to love this one.
Yeah. Pronunciation. All right. How to pronounce. Did you hear that?
No?
Is that coming through? Oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Oh, shit. All right. You got me.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I got you.
I'm still through the mic.
Did the AirPods jump to your phone?
Mm-hmm.
When you, yeah. It automatically synced, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't hear the pronunciation of...
No, I think when you pressed it, it would have jumped. Yeah.
Oh, well,
see, convenience comes at a cost, man. Convenience comes at a large cost.
This is awesome. Here I was talking about this new and improved podcast, and there's like just breaks every few minutes. Oh gosh. Anyway, it's all fun. The pronunciation is Corvidae.
Corvidae. Mate, you could have easily said that. That's I don't know what the correct pronunciation is, but that sounds all right.
Yeah, we'll go with
Corvidae.
that. And yeah, so crows and ravens are in this same family of Corvidae. And
okay.
Yeah, so my logo, for anybody who hasn't seen it, is it's got that crescent, like the moon crescent / letter O in the back. And then there's the raven that's like in the middle of it going across. And that is a couple of things, but it's also an M because the shape of it.
Yep.
But it's intentional that it's not like obviously, oh yeah, OM, Ollie McNicol. There's a lot to do with the moon in the background, and then the inner line of the moon actually represents the hero's journey, and the different lines and breaks in that circle represent the different phases of the hero's journey. So that's a little bit of insight as to what the logo means, what the background means, and the raven itself is, and I have it here as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've always seen it since my dad passed away. It's been something. Ravens just show up like crazy in my life in such such profound and pivotal moments as well. So it's just like I have a deep connection to, and yeah, it could just be my Raz picking up on it and whatever, but I love it. So why not enjoy it?
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Every time I see a raven on the street now, I'm just going to think about Ollie McNicol now.
You will.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy?
I'm
Every
going to start to see them
I,
every day now. You know that.
I promise you will. And whenever I go out with someone and I don't know, I spend an extended period of time with someone, it is really strange. Well, it's just normal now, but even the people who don't know the story or know the connection I have with the ravens, they'll say, this is weird. Like, I never see this many crows, ravens, just hanging out like this. And I'm just like, to myself, like, yeah, that's normal. Yeah.
That's me.
So it's not just something that I see. It's when I'm with others as well for a good amount of time, they pick up on it. It's very interesting.
You could almost do a deep analysis on that as a just standalone episode.
I think so. That's not a bad idea. So yeah, thank you for asking. Where were we before that though? Oh, talking about the new and improved podcast that we have breaks and interruptions every 5 minutes. Yeah.
How long did we take trying to set this one up? Probably just ticked over an hour, I think.
Probably.
Taking ownership though, it was my side all that time. I had Ollie tinkering like crazy for like a good 30 minutes, and it was on my side. So
here I was thinking, I was
taking ownership.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. But it's all good. It's all fun. And yeah, as you said, it just like allows for the it calms the reptilian brain. And it's just a really nice way to chill out when there's all this stuff going on. And then it feels like we dealt with the shit, and now it's like, oh, it's all good. Let's go into this podcast completely clear. Yeah. Sweet. All right. Anyway, let's move on, man. I want to hear about Antonie, the observer and filmmaker. Film director.
Okay. So to start this one off, I'm going to have to take it back to the childhood days growing up in Darwin. Shout out Darwin. Antonie, the observer. So growing up, fortunately enough, mum always had this Sony Handycam lying around. So being the curious sort of playful kid, picked it up, started filming random stuff around the house, just exploring the backyard. And then also I got my two neighbors involved, and I started just stepping into like this sort of makeshift film director. And we would have been like 5 or 7 at the time, and I would be sort of getting them to put on like all sorts of crazy stuff and directing them and be like, all right, you start here, all right, cut, action. And really just taking in, just growing up in Darwin, just taking in all these ideas, and just like, there was so much like wonder being a kid growing up in Darwin. You can just jump on your bike, ride around the suburbs. And there was just a lot to take in. College is very vibrant, a lot of wonder growing up. So just being a very curious, natured sort of kid, I'd be taking in a lot of stuff around me. And then sort of carrying that on into like the video making. And yeah, it was honestly, looking back, it's getting a great sense of nostalgia, and it's really, really warm and stuff. Cause like, it was a lot of fun. I had a really good childhood growing up in Darwin for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So did you do anything with the footage? Is there still footage that you can get a hold of?
100%. So there is definitely footage. So there's not just footage out there. I have the footage. It's on a hard drive. I know a lot of people are against like sharing like old home videos because it's so cringeworthy, but I'm sort of coming around to it and just being like, you know what, I'm gonna own that. It was a lot of fun. That's like, my playful side, just me being like hella silly. And I think that's when I was the loudest as well. It's like, it's almost really cool to see that, because there's like no filter. It's just me being like silly, just leaving it all out there. And yeah, just those are probably some of the best days, just being this loud kid, just expressing on camera and just being silly, you know.
That's awesome. I would love to see that footage.
Oh yeah,
Please get it out there.
There'll be a time, yeah, in the short future. I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
We can laugh at it together.
Yeah, that'll be so good. On the topic of Darwin then, so you've asked me to ask you what 4 words only Darwin people would understand. And I have a guess. Is it caution, do not swim?
Yeah,
because of
that's
the
a good one.
crocodiles.
Yeah. That's one.
Okay, yeah. What is it then? Tell me, what are these 4 words?
Okay. I would say Trevor the Rubbish Warrior, Skate World, Video 2000, and
Okay.
I'll take Chicken Luxor.
All right. You got to elaborate on what is it? Trevor the what?
Trevor the Rubbish Warrior.
Okay, you got to elaborate on that.
Yeah. I thought you'd ask that. So pretty much growing up in like a small city / town, you know, you have some iconic personalities growing up. So there was always this one guy called Trevor. And you would, wherever you would go around Darwin, whether you're like walking around or driving through the streets or the city, he'll always pop up, and like as soon as you see him once, your Raz will pick him up like crazy. And this guy's a real dude. He's not some like imaginary spirit or whatever. He's a real dude. And the reason why he was dubbed the Rubbish Warrior is he would simply just go around Darwin, just picking up rubbish, picking up sticks, and putting together these like pretty like amazing sort of structures. So that's sort of like his mark that it would leave. And overnight, all these structures would start magically appearing around the city.
Wow. So he was literally a fucking warrior. He was 100%. Doing warrior shit.
Yeah. He I'm talking like primal sort of shit, like walking around, picking up sticks. Yeah. Iconic man. I haven't seen him in ages. I hope he's okay. I think he sort of spiraled a bit out of control at some stage. I think he even tried to run for like the Labour Party. I don't know. I just wish him well. He was a iconic dude. Yeah.
Shout out to Trevor then.
Shout out Trevor.
Shout out. Yeah, I hope you're listening to this, Trevor. That's awesome. That's really cool. You know what's funny? Adelaide actually has an iconic dude as well, who walks around in like different superhero outfits, and he's just he's everywhere. He's everywhere all at once. Like, although in saying that, I haven't seen him for a while. But I am pretty certain that anyone from Adelaide who spent some amount of time around the city to I don't know, around the city area would have seen this dude. But that's cool that maybe there's a group of them, maybe they're all over and they're here,
one in each state, and we need to bring them together.
Or it's all the same one. That's awesome. Yeah, sweet. And what was the other one? Skate World. Oh, another iconic place. Pretty much the place you would go like every Friday night. Everyone would bring their rollerblades, roller skates, and there would be like arcades. You get hot food. Pretty much the place to be. Like, you could ask any sort of Territorian or like person from Darwin and growing up, and you would ask them like, what's a really good like memory that you have, and it would be like going to Skate World. Like, that was a spot. Unfortunately, I think it
it got demolished like many years ago. But yeah, really good memories. A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. What was the other one? There was another one. Oh, chicken laksa. Why just Darwin?
Unbiased here. Best chicken laksa and also the best sunsets in Darwin, hands down. Yeah, perks of living in Darwin. We're very close to the equator. It's very tropical. So you get some really awesome gradients, really awesome sunsets. And yeah, nothing better than going to the Middle Beach sunset markets, getting a chicken laksa, sitting on the beach with your loved ones and just staring into the sun. It's awesome. Not staring directly into the sun, but the sunset. It's very calming. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. So when was the last time you were in Darwin?
Before this year, I wouldn't have gone to Darwin for 2 years, but fortunately I was able to get back there in May. So just a couple months. And it was, yeah, really awesome because just being there, just getting a greater sense of appreciation for the place. And yeah, it was real cool. Just again, just walking around the place I grew up in and just like, again, just exploring, just being like, damn, okay, I remember like I used to climb this tree. I used to pick papayas off this tree and I used to light fires around this side of the house when mum couldn't see me. Yeah. It was a nostalgia trip. It was a really good trip.
And where are you now?
Based in Melbourne. So I've been living in Melbourne for the last 4 years. Yeah. And I guess it's like that second place to call home now. Yeah. It's treated me very well.
Yeah. Other than that, have you done much traveling elsewhere outside of Australia?
Yes. So mum being Filipino descent and dad being born in Singapore, I've been lucky enough to go to those two places a few times growing up. And then entering adulthood, took a gap year after high school, went to Europe and the UK, which was awesome for a couple months. And that was sort of my first sort of exposure to the greater world outside of just Darwin and Australia. So that was a really, really memorable trip. And then also the last couple of years through uni, I've been able to do some overseas internships in like China, Malaysia, South Korea, and also going to Fiji, which was really awesome. So quite a lot of traveling. I really do enjoy exploring a bit. So yeah.
On that note then, tell me about consulting CEOs in China. Tell me that.
Ooh, okay.
Tell me about what the heck that means. What was going on there?
So how I even like got to that point, it was, after second year uni, that's when I was just like, all right, like I've done the drinking, I've done the partying, I've done the Netflix and just sitting on the couch. And then I sort of just started looking for opportunities around campus. And I realized like the perks of being born and living in Australia, like there's a lot of like funding and grants available for Australian citizens to go overseas and do like internships and stuff like that. So I signed up for one, got accepted, and then next thing you know, I was going to China of all places. Never thought I'd be going to like China ever, but I was like, hell yeah, I'm just gonna just take a jump, have zero expectations. And then we ended up consulting for a giant panda sanctuary, which was pretty random but pretty cool at the same time. And we spoke to like the CEOs and the operational managers of the place. And then after that sort of led me to take up even more opportunities in Malaysia, South Korea. And that really pretty much gave me those opportunities to like consult and speak in front of like CEOs and like their teams and stuff like that. So really pushed me to really just like sit with discomfort and really just like grow as a speaker, as a person, as a student, as a learner. So really cool experiences.
Speaking of sitting in discomfort, what does that mean to you?
Ooh, I think definitely now it means I'm sort of heading in the right, I'm heading in the right direction. If I can be able to just sit and be still and really accept the resistance there and use it as, I guess, a driver or an indicator of why I'm, right where I need to be in that level of discomfort. Yeah, sort of using that as an indicator of like, you know what, I'm here, it's the right place, right time, and just really lean into it. Yeah.
Those who don't really understand the meaning of stillness in the sense that we're kind of talking about, how would you describe stillness and the importance of it in life?
Oh, that's a good question. Stillness, I think. Well, it's actually a pretty relevant question, actually, because I'm in day 8 of the 30 days of doing 30 minutes of meditation first thing in the morning. So that in itself has been a big challenge, and also a big sort of face-to-face moment with stillness. And I think through that experience, being in day 8, stillness to me is accepting that, you're going to have thoughts, you're going to get distractions, just sitting with yourself. But I guess being okay with that, like being able to sit in stillness and being like, my physical body's here, but I've also got this conscious awareness. I've got emotions, I've got thoughts. I think stillness is directly connected with like having that extra layer of self-awareness for me, and just being okay with that.
What's been your biggest takeaway of 30-minute meditations on a daily basis?
I was thinking about this earlier. It's probably the byproduct of it is just like the sheer discipline it takes to be able to just sit with yourself, especially today. Like the first thing, the average person does, check their phones, you get exposed to like hundreds, if not thousands of marketing messages already as soon as you open your phone, go on Facebook, Instagram. So it's just, it's sort of being able to pull myself away from that place and being able to be like, okay, like it's not all that bad, just being able to sit in silence with yourself and just be still. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that you're now able to reach a deeper sense of self-reflection as well? Through that meditation, it's deeper than it's ever been.
Yeah, definitely. Because prior to the 30 days, like the longest I could sit with myself was probably like 2 to 5 minutes doing like a meditation. So it was nothing, it never came natural to me. It's sort of something I had to develop and be comfortable with. What was your question again? Sorry.
It was, so yeah, the reason I asked that, if you're now able to achieve a deeper sense of self-reflection, is because you mentioned to me in the notes that you gave me, is that the last, a moment of real deep reflection was post year 12. And I was interested to hear about what that was for you and what was happening in your life in that moment.
Yeah. I think drawing the connection from like being able to have that deeper reflection, sitting in meditation, and post year 12 is like, instead of me sitting, doing my meditation and still having that deeper reflection, it was sort of the same feeling I had when I took the gap year and I was working in like a warehouse job. I was doing graveyard shifts at like a call center. I was doing, being a dishwasher at a cafe. I was managing all these like smaller jobs so I could save and travel to Europe. But sitting here talking to you, it does bring back similarities of that deep reflection, which is something I guess you can access whenever you want, really, whenever you're actually open and willing to lean into it. It's not a matter of just sitting cross-legged on a patch of grass, and you're like sitting up tall. Like you could actually access that just walking outside, having just like a one conscious breath, and just being just with you in that moment. Yeah. And I think that's doing the 30 days of meditation. It's yeah, I've drawn similarities to having those deep reflection moments from now, and then also a couple of years ago, post year 12.
Yeah, cool. Biggest learning from working graveyard shift in a call center? What was the biggest learning there?
Apart from it just not being for me, it's it definitely gave me a greater appreciation for my health. Also, it did allow me to deeply reflect, just being, you know, one of two people just sitting in an office, and it's like 4 a.m. and the phone isn't ringing, and you're just by yourself, and you're either watching a movie or, you know, just being there. And I remember looking out out the window and just seeing like, yeah, the city just asleep, like all these high-rise buildings, the lights turned off, there'll be one or two, and I'm just thinking like, man, like I'm the person with the light on from other people's point of view. And it was just like, yeah, it was just like an existential moment.
Did you ever realize that you had this? Is it only just now that you realize that you had this big moment within a call center working the graveyard shift? Or did you, in that moment, did you know?
It was one of many moments, but I think it's those moments definitely arise when I was, you know, working in the office environments, and, you know, just standing at the dishwasher and washing dishes, and like just being on my own, and just like, that's when I had, you know, the time to really like sit in my thoughts. And then like I always knew, like, yeah, there was sort of a greater pull to do something, you know, greater than me. Like it was always there. And I think now the last year or two, I'm really starting to yeah, actualize that and actually see what that looks like.
Man, I'm excited to come back to that. I want to put a pin in there, because that's a really exciting thing. I'm so keen to go into it. My question is, how did you go from working graveyard shift in a call center to accidentally showing up on billboards in Melbourne?
Okay. All right. So yeah, so I was doing odd jobs the year after high school, traveled to Europe, and then coming back to Europe, sort of being a lost soul, and then being like, all right, time to sort of, you know, exit the fishbowl of Darwin and like enter a new environment, a new city. So yeah, moved to Melbourne for uni, and then yeah, second year just having a bit of a low period, and then being like, all right, I need to sort of like seek something that's gonna sort of like challenge me and just drive me. So I actually, there's a really cool hack for any university students looking to get free portraits. Is to find the contact of the marketing team on campus of your university, and just let them know like, hey, I'm willing to be like an extra or talent for like your next marketing campaign if you need photos, because they're always looking for talent and extras to get photos done for advertising purposes. So essentially, you're getting free photos, professional portraits, and you're also getting paid.
Right.
So just a tip for anyone listening there. And at the time, I was looking, you know, I was seeking a lot of like self-development. I was seeking mentors. I was seeking to build a bit of a brand on LinkedIn, just to like build a bit of a presence. So yeah, at the time, I was like working on campus, and I had a contact, a lady in the marketing team. And I just, yeah, she sort of reached out and said, hey, do you know any students looking to be a part of like some marketing campaigns? I was like, I'll do it. Got paid. I got free like portraits. But the thing is, you never know where they're going to use it. And I sort of was like, I'm happy with free photos. I'm happy I got some cash. But then next thing you know, I'm popping up on phone booths, and then they put me on like a billboard in like the city, and then I'm getting all these messages on Facebook, and I'm like, and at the time I did not own it. I was like, no, that's not me. I swear that's not me. It was a really, to be fair, it was a really bad angle. Like, yeah. But anyway, that's the story behind that. If you're looking to get
That's
free
awesome.
portraits done.
Yeah, but you may show up in places you didn't know you would.
Yes, I also did show up on a random TikTok ad at some point as well.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is fairly recent.
This would have been last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I guess that's my 5 seconds of fame, if you will.
I love it. All right, then this is a kind of a good segue to my next question, which is around social media. So you told me a little bit about how through a dating app you were sucked into some multi-level marketing in one way or another. Tell me about that. How does that happen through a dating app?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, the dating app is Bumble, which, like if you're not aware of, it's a dating app. But there's also options to network with like business people, and also get connected to people on like on just a purely a friend level. So, and at the time, so second year of uni, this is when I was like, all right, I'm gonna slow down on the drinking, the partying, and actually try to like just be a better person and just like try like find something for myself that I can work upon. So that's when I started seeking, anyone who was willing to like, have a conversation with me, guide, like mentor. So then I heard you can actually connect and network with like business professionals on this app called Bumble. So I created an account, got on Bumble, started swiping right on all these like white collared suit and tie individuals. And then like a few matches later, I get this guy message me, and he starts asking me about my situation. And, at that point in time, I'm like, oh man, I just feel like there's something better for me out there. I just want to like, network and just,
Oh, you would have loved that. You would have loved that.
Yeah. So I was just like, yeah, I'm willing to learn. I'm curious. And he was like, yeah, man, that's awesome. Look, I'll like speak to this guy that I'm like part of a mentorship thing with, and I'll see if I can bring you to the next one. So next thing you know, I'm getting pizza with him. We have a chat. He gives me a book, and I'm like, hell yeah. Like I've always wanted to get into self-development and reading books. So next thing you know, I'm in a seminar with like 50 other people all dressed up, and I'm walking in with trackies and like a puffer jacket, just like sweet. Like I genuinely thought I was that was sort of like my entry into like, becoming a better person. But yeah,
that was the big thing.
Funnily enough, yeah. And then funnily enough, next thing you know, I'm getting like asked to sign up to buy these products and whatnot. I'm like, okay, yeah, did a few Google searches. I'm like, yeah, connected the dots. Cool. Yeah, and it did challenge me at the time, because I did really, was seeking that sort of guidance and that person to take me under their wing. But yeah, that did allow me to like start reading. Like it wasn't all bad. They definitely gave me a lot of helpful resources. They gave me the first book that I read from start to finish, which is The Compound Effect, and that really set me off in a really good trajectory to like continue reading and learning. And that also allowed me to realize, like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to have to do it on my own terms, and like take it upon myself to start something of my own, instead of having to seek out other people to rely on. So,
yeah. I find that they have such like their intent is really good. And yeah, I am kind of generalizing it, but their intent is actually really awesome. They want to share these awesome books. They want to share this awesome, like, sense of doing doing the work. But then, and what I find challenging to kind of respect, I guess, about it is it's following someone else's creation, someone else's term, someone else's path, really, which is fine. It's all good. But that's personally my only, that's why I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna pave my own way.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's cool. And so what was your out? What was your out to that?
Oh, so I told my quote unquote mentor that like I was having a bit of doubts with like moving forward and stuff like that. And he was like, you know what, just have a call with, you know, the head guy and just talk it out. I was like, yeah, okay. And then like prior to that phone call, all I was doing was like just coming up with like all these excuses and all these reasons that I had to leave. I was like, oh man, I'm leaving the state. You know, I won't be in Melbourne. Like I'm trying to start my own thing. And then I got on a call with him and he pretty much shut down all my like dreams and desires. And he was like, how do you expect to get to that if you don't have, I guess, that guidance and mentorship? But I held firm, and I was like, nah, like I generally don't think this is a good fit. And then I sort of left it at that. And yeah, I think they stopped humbugging me after a while. So yeah, that was a moment where I was like, nah, this is where I really have to own my shit and go out there myself and do it right.
Yeah, cool. So biggest takeaway is own your shit. Be careful on Bumble. on the dating apps. You never know who you're going to meet.
Keep the dating apps just for dating, I'd say.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Did you, I don't think we spoke about it much, but the agency that you were a part of and you've now moved on from, tell us a bit more about what that agency was and the decision moving forward to put that in the past and take these new steps towards what it is that you're truly passionate about. What was the agency?
Yeah,
doesn't have to be the name, but like,
yeah, it was a creative agency. I think we touched on it early in the episode. And to tie back to post Bumble, after that, I sort of dabbled into like editing videos online, watching YouTube tutorials, how to do social media marketing, as I felt that was like a high value skill at the time, which it is now for sure in the modern age. So I started freelancing, started looking for opportunities, developed my skills over like a year or so. And then start of last year, after dealing with a few clients, learning sort of my trade around, running sort of a freelance or sole trader business online. I was working with a videographer friend at the time. We were doing like shoots in the city and just like really, vibing, just being really creative. And then we decided to come together, start our own sort of creative business together. And then I essentially started like picking up the phone and ringing real estate agents and just really winging it on the phone and just trying to get sort of any opportunities to shoot videos for people. And it was really good. We sort of built a foundation, a solid client base. And yeah, we like grew the agency over a year, even through COVID. Picked up some really cool commercial video projects. And yeah, like it was, I think a lot of the projects I sort of gravitated to were very, like there was a startup trying to build a video course to help students become better mentors. We worked with like graduate coaches who were trying to get people employed. So it was like pretty impactful sort of work. So that's what that was really good, because I was like, you know what, I'm enjoying this. I enjoy like having genuine conversations with people, sort of advising them on this sort of stuff. But yeah, we got to a point where we grew the agency, and then we started niching down onto more like real estate work. I sort of stepped away from being behind the camera and editing. I focused more on just like sales and marketing. But yeah, just to take complete ownership, I started to fall out of love and out of touch with the business. My day-to-day tasks started to become very minimal. I wasn't taking action. I wasn't like becoming the leader that I knew I could have been for me and my business partner. And yeah, and then they just got to a point early this year where I was like, I'm having all these thoughts and doubts. I got to like speak to my business partner and just let him know how I'm feeling. And mutually we decided it was the best for me to move on. And yeah, it was all from a place of love, mutual respect. Yeah. And then that sort of led me, reinvesting in myself, connecting with other people out there. And then eventually coming across Tom, you, and the Transformer event. So it's a huge blessing in hindsight.
Yeah, beautiful. That's just such an awesome segue, obviously, to the Transformer event and what that was for you. But just before we go there, so creative agency, just for my own understanding, does that kind of take care of all? Is it content creation? Is that the bigger? That's kind of what it is. Creative agency is.
Yeah, creative agency is a very broad term, but
yeah, I was thinking that.
To keep it very plain and simple, content creation agency. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, because I was hearing that broad spectrum of all the things that you did. That's awesome. So I'd assume that the amount of talents that you've taken away from that, so many aspects that you can take away and put into your own stuff now. Yeah. What's your philosophy on marketing now? Coming out of that, what's your philosophy on marketing?
Bit counterintuitive, but it's don't be a marketer. And the reason why I say don't be a marketer is you want to be diagnosing like a doctor and testing like a mad scientist. Because the first thing you hear when you the first thing you think when you hear marketing is, all these loud and in your face sort of messages, and you're not even getting to know the core problems of your prospects, of the person. So I think it's always starting by just having that genuine connection and chat with someone and actually taking the time to listen to their current situation, the core problems that they're going through, and where do they actually want to get to? Like what sort of outcomes are they either trying to set or trying to get closer towards? And only then, diagnosing the problems, you can then provide the solution or the prescription, keeping it consistent with the doctor metaphor. But also you don't always get it right. Sometimes you do have to trial and error and test like a scientist and find out which one works. There's never always just the first sort of best case answer, the first go.
Yeah. So your philosophy on marketing and what it means, is that sort of what led to you losing that attraction and that relationship with the creative agency, because you had such potent and and deeper meaning to what you were doing, whereas the agency itself maybe was losing touch with that?
Yeah. And again, I take full responsibility for the way that panned out, because there came a point where it became very transactional. The way I was communicating with clients, it was always trying to like get the sale and keep the business going. And I sort of lost that touch. And that became a bit of a moment where I felt like I was splintering away from like my values. I didn't really have a solid understanding of my values at the time, but I think that's why it felt a bit foreign to me. And it did affect certain projects. Like sometimes I would struggle to set boundaries with clients, and they would sort of take advantage of that and not follow up with payments. And be like, oh, you didn't meet the expectations, so we're not going to pay you. Fair enough. But there was some cases where they, sort of took advantage of us in that sense, because I wasn't clear with my communication. I didn't set expectations. I didn't set boundaries for myself. But huge learning curve, and a lot to take away from that, moving into where I'm currently at now.
Yeah, perfect. All right, let's do it then. Speaking about where you're currently at now, where have you been? What was it? Last couple of weeks. What happened for you in the last couple of weeks as a whole?
Yeah, as a whole. Okay, so post leaving the agency, got a payout, ended up reinvesting pretty much all of that into a business course, and then having some leftover to reinvest into the transformer. So I was like, all right, I've sort of come out of the agency, no income. I sort of picked up a side sales job remotely. Ended up doing like 3 calls, closed 1 deal, and then I got fired from that because I tried to juggle too many things at once. Like it was a good company, but my heart wasn't in it. I was ready to just like reset. I went to Darwin for 2 weeks, so my head just wasn't in it. But again, a lot of lessons, a lot of skills taken away from that experience. And then sort of just being like open to I guess working on my skills, on myself. And then I think eventually I got connected. The way I found Tom in the Transform is one of his old students actually hit me up on Instagram. Shout out to Ryan, and he was like, "Hey man, like we've been following each other for a while," and I thought, like, why don't we just catch up and see if like we vibe. Ended up catching up with him. Had a really good talk. He shared an experience about Transformer, and he also like immediately he challenged me to actually make amends with the agency and open up to my business partner. So that's sort of where I was like, you know what, this is sort of the individuals I want to be surrounding myself with, people who are going to like challenge me and push me to be, a better person, and not just stay in this area of comfort where I'm not really growing. And that was the first sort of exposure to Tom's content. And then I started interacting with that, and then getting to speak with you as well. And it just from there, it was just a very organic sort of, natural sort of connection that we sort of built. And even speaking with you for the first time, it felt like I was speaking with an old friend, essentially.
Yeah, I felt that as well. Definitely. Yeah. It kind of comes back to what we're talking about. We've mentioned it a few times, but stepping into that new phase, new life, but also like for me anyway, it was having an interaction with you and the other, Transformer guys, and majority of the people who come through either doing stuff with me or doing stuff through Tom Clark's work. There's a sense of relief when you speak with them and interact with them. It's almost like, oh yeah, these are the people that I should be around and that I want to be around. And it's just it's exciting and so comforting. Does that make sense? I know I kind of went off there, but I understand what you mean about that interaction was just like, oh yeah, this is the thing. I'm on the right path.
And it was definitely validated stepping into the room day one of Transformer, immediately embracing everyone. And then like, I've never been in a room where I felt like so comfortable to just express myself and just be willing to be vulnerable and to like share, my story, which was actually one of my outcomes. So I totally relate to that.
Yeah. I just want to say, obviously, it was such an incredible thing to be able to witness from the outside, like what you went through, and having such an outcome that had so much power behind it, being able to express yourself, like that's huge. So it was just an honor being able to be there and experience it from the outside. But I know there's a lot to unpack from the transformer. So I'm not just going to say what was the transformer for you, but more specifically, what was the biggest breakthrough?
Oh, I've been asked this question quite a bit, and it's probably just the realization of, like, you know, the sum of all my past experiences, the environments, the thoughts, how that turned into patterns, turned into actions, and how I subconsciously just created an identity around, you know, I'm not worthy of being a leader. I'm not worthy of, you know, affection. I'm not a great speaker. You know, I don't know how to tell my story. Like, it's that, yeah, it's just realizing that that's just an identity that I've, you know, created, like up until this point. And then just really being like that is literally my hero's journey. Like all that adversity and all those struggles is what sort of makes me the hero of my journey, essentially. And like that, and then just I remember Tom talking about the topic, and then I don't know, it just hit me. Like, it wasn't a complex topic that we're talking about, but I was just like sitting to myself like, shit, I've been the hero this whole time. Like, I've been the hero all along. Like, I don't need to constantly be seeking out people to lead me and whatnot. Like, I can be that for myself. And I've always sort of felt that deep down. And then the byproduct of that is like being self-accepting and being able to, you know, discover that area of like self-love. And yeah, that allowed me to, you would have seen it, express and be very vulnerable, and share my message, share my story in front of a group of amazing, you know, individuals. So yeah, just having that realization was a, yeah, very transformative for me personally.
And then moving on to the business side of things and realizing what it is you're here to do in this moment right now anyway. Tell me about that. What came up? So the transformer is the inner work, right? It's safe to say that first and foremost, it's that inner work.
Yeah.
The thing that is so neglected and just kind of brushed off as something that people do when they're spiritual or, you know, connected to the earth or whatever. But you realize it's just the thing that needs to come first. The inner work needs to happen for you to fully connect to what it is that you're doing and what you're acting on in life, in business and all that. So going into the business side of things, that is also a part of the transformer. What did you realize about yourself and what you want to do that you never knew before doing that inner work?
It was more it just validated my previous thoughts and previous experiences, like with my first business, like freelancing, doing the agency. The reason there wasn't, I guess, like true fulfillment in that is because I started off on the outside, trying to build the business from the outside. All right, what do people want? Yada yada yada. But what hit me on day one was like, you can start a business from within. It can start with your own story, your own struggles, you know, figuring out your core values first, and then being like, all right, this is, you know, this is where I can provide the most impact on people's lives. And I've always said, like, I want to be helping people I wanted to be the person that I needed growing up. And that's sort of essentially where I'm sort of moving into now, trying to help people align themselves with their values and building something around that. Because then you don't experience that moment where you feel like you're putting on a persona and you're neglecting the real person behind that. It should sort of be intertwined, I believe.
Yeah, it's obviously possible for someone to build a business from the outside in,
For sure. Yeah.
but it's like, it's funny. It's like you don't have to build a business from the inside out, but also you kind of have to. Like, it's that. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're constantly going to be seeking all these other like ideas. You're going to be chasing the next shiny object because you don't have like a deep conviction for what you're doing. You're constantly looking to the outside for the answers, right?
Yeah, that
if you can
external
get
validation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, and Tom expresses that really well and obviously embodies it so well, being someone who he's done the whole outside in the past, and he's realized the power and importance of something being built from the inside out. That's an important thing. That's an important thing for people to know, for people to hear. What was your biggest moment or the most euphoric moment of the Transformer?
It definitely would have been the visualization piece. I think the first one, where I think it was day one, where it was like, think of someone who you have just unconditional love for, you're just like internally grateful for. And the first name that popped up was my sister. Like she was probably my first mentor in terms of like just business, just like how to save, just like fundamental stuff like that. But then my mind turned to my mum, because she was obviously the nourisher, the caregiver growing up. In terms of like unconditional love, that's where I could get that. With no sort of expectation. It's just like pure unconditional love. So yeah, and then like I hadn't cried I can't remember the last time I cried. It would have been like many years before that. But then opening my eyes and then Tom saying like imagine the person is in front of you right now. Like, what would you want to say? And then like it was just like a rush of just like raw emotion and just being like so thankful. And then me just like thinking about the days where like, although mum was going through her own struggles, you know, she only just opened up to me. She was quite depressed when she was raising me and my sister, but like her just being so selfless and just sitting with me when I was sick, and she would just look after me, and that just pure just emotion and gratitude for that just came out. And man, it was a beautiful moment. Like I must say, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Just thinking back to that moment, it was huge for so many of the people, but it's really cool so there were a few different exercises for those who haven't experienced the Transformer or Tom's work. There are different exercises like that, where you're able to speak to people or say what you want to say to people without them being there, which is a really, really powerful thing. And it's cool that each individual at the Transformer took away, or those different exercises, everyone had their own. One was more powerful for someone than another. It was, it was just really cool to see that play out. And you can see the breakthroughs. You can see the moment where something hits for someone. And sometimes it does look like someone literally falling to the ground. Like, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying it, but Troy's moment, that was that moment. And he just collapsed. He just dropped down, and everything was released, and he
Yeah.
was free. Man, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it's literally just like witnessing someone just like shed like a literal identity that they've built for like so many years, and just like, you know, really realizing and then stepping into and really deeply feeling like their best self. Like it's been in there the entire time. Yeah, it was powerful stuff.
What would you say to people hearing this, that what would you say to people hearing this that don't quite understand the importance of what is experienced at the transformer, or rather the importance of doing the inner work? What would you say to someone who simply doesn't get it?
I think there comes a point in your life, especially mine, where you realize seeking the answers externally, like outside from you, you sort of hit a roadblock, and then you hit another roadblock, and then you go, oh wait, maybe all my perceptions and thoughts and all these things to the outside world is actually just a reflection into my own life. And then when you sort of get that first level of awareness, and then you start to look into yourself a bit more, then you start to go, okay, maybe I need to sit with this and be really real and open with what I need to work on. And sometimes you do need a guide or someone to shine light on that. And that's where I decided to take that leap and join you guys for the 5 days at Transformer. But the thing is, like, during those 5 days, I was never told what to do. I was never told what to think, what to believe. It was simply just prompting me to ask myself the deeper questions, and then me reflecting and then finding those meanings and answers on my own, which is why I think I had such a big breakthrough. Yeah, just like being like, okay, the sum of all my experiences, like accept that the behaviors, the persona that I've put on, like that's not me. Like, just accepting me as the person that I am. Yeah. Just, leaning into that openness, leaning into the vulnerability, and just, willing to just to sit in that. So,
that's beautiful. It's almost like the opposite of seeking answers, isn't it? It's just when you rock up and you're in that room because you've decided to be there, it's like, it's just allowing the stuff to come up that needs to come up. It's allowance rather than seeking. Yeah, that's an interesting one. And Tom and I were actually talking about this, Tom Dim and I, how seeking can be detrimental. And you see it in, I hate putting the words spirituality on this, because this isn't spirituality embodied, but so many people who are in that sort of world, and everything is up here in the clouds, and spiritual in their life, it can be detrimental when all they're doing is seeking, and rather than just coming down here to earth and just allowing. It's almost like, it's an interesting paradox. It's almost like being down and here on the earth and being grounded is more spiritual than being spiritual. It's really cool. It's that's something that I've been pondering on for a little while, and I think it's important to have that balance, have that really good balance of time spent in your head and time spent in your body.
Yeah. And just touching on that, like I remember last year I was constantly trying to quote unquote find myself and find what my purpose was. But like Tom mentioned, you end up finding yourself. It's just like a dog chasing its own tail.
Yeah.
And it was because I was my head was constantly in the clouds. Like I wasn't just like, searching. Yeah, I just wasn't, I guess, allowing the answers to come in already. It was always just like looking elsewhere. But I think I just needed that, that little guidance, and yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a good point. Yeah. And when you're in those moments of looking and searching or finding yourself, the language that we have, because I've been there as well, I've been in those times in my life when it was all up there. And the language, because all you're doing is finding yourself, is just, oh yeah, I'm finding myself. And it's like, people talk about it, no disrespect, but when they're in those sort of times in their life, it's like, oh yeah, finding myself, like it's so beautiful, so important. But what's coming from finding yourself instead of the it also comes down to like having a shadow career. I don't know if Tom spoke about it much, but Stephen Pressfield talks about it. It's like, instead of someone being, all right, just for example, being a podcast host, they'll be a podcast researcher. Like they'll do the research for a podcast as opposed to doing the podcast itself. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I've been there plenty of times.
Yeah, and me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool. It's just cool being aware of that, I think.
I think the biggest takeaway post Transformer is just having a great understanding of myself and my surroundings, and like understanding like I have the control, I have the power over my own thoughts, hence I have the power over the results that I have in this space. And just owning that and just realizing like it's really, I if I really want to step into my higher self, like I can do it. Like I'm already doing it.
Yeah. So what does that mean moving forward now? Coming out of the Transformer, with everything you've taken from it, what's the overarching thing that is there for you moving forward?
Oh, I always say this, but like I'm already the hero. I'm already that person I needed to be. I've sort of realized that. I'm actualizing that on a day-to-day basis. I'm showing up first thing in the morning. I'm deeply convicted and know my core values now, and it's a lot easier to just like do the business activities and work on your relationships and just show up in your life, knowing that I have those foundations and I guess that direction on I guess where I sort of envision myself as, my highest sort of person, where I can create the most impact, owning the wins and losses, owning the challenges, owning everything outside my control, and in control, implementing things I take from my day-to-day and putting those into actions, expressing myself, educating others, and just exploring new ways to live. Just being open to new ideas, new sort of thoughts. It's a lot more clearer now, instead of just sort of wandering around in like a fog. It's awesome.
Oh, that's so powerful. It's so good to hear you say that. Anybody who's just listening to this and hearing you, no doubt they're just going to be like, who is this guy? What has he just realized? And how do I get in touch with him? No doubt. Just hearing you speak with so much conviction and being so disciplined in doing this work that you're talking about and being so passionate about it. People are going to hear this and for a lot of people, they're going to realize why shit matters. Yeah, that's cool. for the first time, for a lot of people listening to this, they're gonna realize, oh yeah, like it matters to do good. Sounds so simple, but
that's that ripple effect, man. That's what's driving me at the moment. Just being able to have that effect.
What does your ripple look like then?
Ooh, it's just living through my values and experiences and just being openly expressive and sharing what I learn, and I guess teaching others or guiding others to raise their level of awareness in their own lives by, I guess, experiencing themselves vicariously through my content or through my messages and through my story. Because again, it's just like that first little domino that falls, and then it could lead to a whole crazy like branched off effect, and them reflecting into their own stuff. Like that's been awesome. And I used to always just hide behind a computer screen and be so hesitant to share stuff. But since I've been doing that, it's funny how the world works. You start attracting people who are themselves looking for similar things, and you start having curious people asking questions about how they can start meditating in the morning and how they can be a bit more mindful. And it's like even just those little changes I'm realizing, it's a small drop, but those small drops can lead to massive tidal waves, right?
Yeah. So someone wanting to start meditating, what would you suggest? Someone who's never done it before and they want to start it, they want to experience it, what would you say to them?
Wherever you are right now, just take one deep conscious breath. And if a thought comes up or a distraction, you're pretty much already meditating. Don't judge yourself if you do get distracted. Don't be hard on yourself, because I used to do that. But just realize wherever you are, you can just sit in stillness and be aware of your thoughts. I think that's a good step. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Releasing judgment was a big one for me around meditating as well, and being able to sit in stillness. We can be very quick to judge ourselves, and then holding on to that judgment is even worse. It's just like, what if we do find that we've judged ourselves or someone else, we need to be able to let go of the fact that we've judged ourselves or someone else. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Yeah, it can build up. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, one thing I took away was also like, to the degree you judge others is the equivalent you judge yourself. So just like be mindful. Like judgment is final, so yeah.
Beautiful. So is there anything else from that you feel called to share from the Transformer experience, from that event?
I think it's I guess anyone who's considering it, like not just the Transformer, but just considering leaning into or like embodying, what they deeply value on a day-to-day basis, and that feeling like there is a higher person that you do want to step into. I think it's just being willing to trust yourself and allow yourself to go through your own hero's journey. And that also means facing, your demons, your dragons, the ups and downs. Just allowing yourself to fully experience those moments in life. And that in itself will bring you closer to a guide, or maybe even allow you to realize that you yourself are the hero without a guide. Like that would, just leaning into trust and being open and allowing yourself to just really experience life.
Yeah, beautiful. And it obviously doesn't have to be Tom, obviously, but for coming from someone who has worked with Tom, why would you say that him being a guide to you has been important? Why him for you, so people can understand that?
Oh, to put it simply, everything I thought I couldn't be, I saw in Tom. But deep down, like I knew it was there. Like I was capable. I had the potential to be the guide, to be the hero, to have an impact. So I guess again, the more resistance you have towards something, I guess maybe start to question that and ponder that, whether that's like an indication to take a leap. And that's same with using fear as fear as is the greatest indicator for taking action.
Yep, absolutely. Fear and ego frustration. When you feel the ego's frustrated and you're defensive, that's when it's the shit that you need to do and you need to face. Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What was I going to say? What did you want to be growing up? What did you want to be when you were younger?
Firstly, at age 5, straight away, I wanted to be an AFL player for the Port Adelaide Football Club. That was the number one thing. I would be like setting up pillows, taking speckies on the couch. The second one was the second one after that was I genuinely wanted to be a superhero. I wanted to be Spider-Man. I absolutely was enamored by Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I saw very similar traits in, like, you know, being the underdog, getting kicked around, being so small, and then being able to step into a new identity and be that hero. So it's funny now, coming full circle, is like me realizing like I'm stepping into that hero.
Absolutely.
Hero states. So that's great timing on your part for bringing that up. I used to always tell Mum to cut my hair like Peter Parker, and she would never get it right, bless her soul. But yeah, I absolutely loved Peter Parker, loved Spider-Man. Yeah, I wanted to be a superhero.
That's
And
awesome.
and I guess like now I am my own hero, right?
And to many others as well, I can assure you, to many others. That's awesome. I love that. So before we wrap this up, do you have anything else that you feel called to put out there? Is there something, a message that you want to give the viewers and listeners and audience?
I think it's like, even right now, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to it, whether you're at work or at home, like it doesn't take like something incredible for you to like make an impact, you know, start a ripple effect. It's very small details in your day to day where you can affect change and affect people's lives. Whether it's like, you know, deeply listening to someone's challenges and seeing them as the hero and focusing on the areas where they are showing up as the hero. Yeah, like there's many ways where you can, you know, have that drop in the ocean and create your own tidal waves in your own life and for other people's lives. Yeah. Start with what's already around you, you know, you as a person.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful message. Yeah, beautiful message. And those who want to see more of you, because I am so certain that they will, after hearing this, they're going to be like, where is every single place that I can check this dude out? Where can people find your stuff, man?
Man, I've been popping off a lot on Instagram, Facebook, also on LinkedIn, TikTok as well. Yeah, I'll be sharing a lot more messages, a lot more of my story, and yeah, just really trying to step into the leader and teacher and become a guide for others. Or yeah, I guess when they're ready, I guess they'll be able to find me online, in person. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, so Instagram, like what's your handles? What are your what's the Instagram handles?
Instagram's ANTONIE_NG. And from there, you'll be able to find me on Facebook and all the other platforms. But yeah, that's probably a good start.
Yeah, wicked. And I'll attach all the links in the show description. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh,
it's all good if not.
No, I definitely do, but it would probably take another. Oh, who knows? It could take hours until I get to a level where I'm
with
satisfied.
My responses. Yeah, that's why no one wants me on their podcast, because my response just takes too long.
Yeah, I guess for you right now, like, what's your drive to have these conversations with people like myself?
That's a beautiful question. Biggest thing, because it matters. That's huge for me right now. Because it matters. And it's always going to be like this. All started from this is my gift to myself and everybody else as a platform for expression. This is the opportunity for people like yourself, heart-centered people, to jump on, be in the spotlight, as daunting as it is, and just share whatever their message is. And that in itself is a gift to me, and it will always be a gift to the younger self, the person I have experienced being in the past, said goodbye to now. But it's a way of honoring me and humanity, offering a space for expression. So yeah, and also because it matters.
Absolutely. Boom. Fully, wholeheartedly received, man. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure just to like speak with such a warm, loving soul like yourself. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah, it's been so cool, and I'm so glad this was the first one back for some time. This really kicks it off with like, yeah, this is an awesome way to start back up. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the patience around getting it all set up and taking pauses here and there. But yeah, it's been awesome. My last question for you is, what does raw mean to you?
Ooh. Being 100% you.
Sick. Perfect. I love it. Thank you, brother. That's awesome. Wicked. Let's wrap it up there. It's been such a pleasure, man. And I'm so excited for the world to hear your message and hear your journey and realize what it is to go through that hero's journey a few times around and now embodying the fucking hero that you are. So thank you once again, man. And yeah, peace. Cheers to everyone listening and everyone who is tuning back in after some time away. Hope you enjoy.